Right. Assalamu alaikum. Assalatu wassalamu ala rasulillah wa ala alihi wa sahbihi wa mawala amma ba'd. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome to our bi-weekly addiction webinars. And the topic for today is the missing link in addiction. And, as I started to come in, the words that popped into my head, the missing link, it's contentment and acceptance. And I think I was thinking earlier about one of my clients. So as we're working with clients, like our focus, as we know, is not the addiction. Our focus is on the connection. Because, as we've been learning like a lot earlier, when we're out of balance, that's when addiction occurs. And we're out of balance when we overthink and we don't see our connection to Allah again. And so we're in a lower level of consciousness, lower mood, or I would say Iman fluctuates like all the time. So overthinking is when we're overthinking, we're not in connection. So with this client, whenever the relapse occurs, it also goes with leaving home. Now, one of the things, and I don't see it anymore as one person out of balance, is also the family out of balance. And as the journey is going on, you can see that when we're in balance in a relationship with others. And so because it's not just the person that is that we're working with, but the family as well. And in this case, they are present like with a parent. And so one of the things I see that in the past, when this person will go off during the relapse, there will be a lot of worry and anguish on the parent side. But this time around, what was different was that it came with a kind of peace. And eventually when my client reached out to me, they said they were all right. And so I can see that in the past, there was a lot of overthinking. They're away from home, they're in danger. There's a lot of thinking around it. But accepting the fact now that relapse has occurred and being open to see where the journey takes. Because when we're in a state of calm, then we see we see things clearly. And with the confidence and the feeling of safety and security and knowing that things are all right, everything is all right, we just haven't seen it yet. And when we are in that state, then naturally the wisdom on what to do comes from the inside out. So as it says, there is nothing to do but be aware of the level of consciousness we are in right now. And when we're aware and the thinking falls away, then we have the wisdom. So it seems that, and that's what I call the acceptance. The acceptance with what is, the contentment. And this time around, my client's return to home was in a much more peaceful way. There wasn't any of the anguish. Like we understand is a journey in the present. This is like what is happening. And there has been so much wisdom learned. Like we haven't had a meeting yet, but I can feel in their communication with me that this time around, the fear, the debilitating fear is not there. There is the knowledge that, it's almost as if the will of Allah is running. It's constantly running, and we are noticing and observing, like with confidence, and we see our own part in it. And one of the biggest things, or one of the most important things I'll say is intention, the power of intention. So we know there's the Iman, the knowledge that everything is all right, the Iman, the conviction. And as we see that, so it's as if then we're part of it in a way that feels right. I think what Harry calls the participation, because really everything runs according to the will of Allah. And when we have the acceptance and the confidence, then we see the okayness of it. It might not have been in a way that we envisioned ourselves living our lives, but then we get to experience the other parts of life. Because this is like with my client, comes from a very sheltered background, and then they are exploring other sides of life that they never thought they would, and the family was fearful, and they're all right. And they're all right, and they feel the peace. So it's a sort of, even we're all on a journey together. We don't know where we're going, but the certainty is that, with the power of intention of where we're going, which is that place of wisdom, of our continuing journey towards seeking the face of Allah, that is, the certainty of our intention about where we're going. And so it's almost as if, the winds are flowing. And, just as the kite takes advantage of the wind, and so the wind is already there. And in being that aware, we're catching the wind of awareness, just like the surfer is attuned to the wave and knows exactly the right time, to go into the sea and ride with the wave. And so this is what it seems. Like to me, it's happening. So it's a kind of adventure. And we're taking the journey from, fear to confidence and certainty and the adventure. I feel so grateful and humble to be part of the journey. And as we see different things unfolding, like for the family, and so it's something that we all feel the joy of. Yes, there are times where we fall back into our thinking and we see the fear, the uncertainty. But again, it all comes back to we as spiritual beings living a human experience.
Mashallah, keep going, because I'm on the edge of my seat just listening to you. Mashallah, it's beautiful. So much wisdom just pouring out of you tonight. Yeah.
Mashallah. Alhamdulillah. Welcome, Bilkisu.
Thank you, Aisha. Assalamu alaikum, everyone.
Wa alaikum assalam. Yeah, I think, what you said, I echo what Pamela said. It was just beautiful what you were sharing, Aisha. And, one thing that you touched on was that connection. And it's so important to have that connection with, I guess, that connection within ourselves, that connection with Allah, subhanahu wa ta'ala. And that, when we're strong in both of those, we can be stronger with the connections, with those around us in a different way, in a more compassionate way. And I think, as well, not living in the uncertainty. Oh, she's gone. Living in the yeah, subhanallah. Not living in that uncertainty of, fear and what, all that sort of stuff of what could be, what should be, or, living in, our heads, basically. And when we step out of that, we step into the place of possibilities, of of new hope, new thoughts, new experiences. And that's just such a beautiful place to be. And what that does also, it's coming up. What that also allows us is, to live to be in the good feelings, because there's that hope. We hope for those new possibilities and things like that. And I've just noticed in myself, just the last couple of days, actually, not in regards to addictions, but just noticing where my thoughts were and the thoughts of others as well. And subhanAllah, once I had a slight shift in my thoughts, I realized that changed the outcome for everybody else. And so instead of being like this heaviness, which as I was also doing, there seems to be like a shift and the lightness that comes with that. And that's exactly what we're talking about, that, that healing, and it doesn't have to be hard. It's just a shift in our thought. And we say that so lightly, but that happens when we're not caught up in that thinking. It can happen so effortlessly. And that's where we get the good feelings from again.
Yeah. And this is exactly the place of which many of the Islamic spiritual advisors are talking from. They're talking from this connected, undoubtedly that it's all from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala,
Absolutely.
and that it's available to us in every moment. We just get caught up in our human experience, as Aisha said,
Yeah.
We get blinded by the spiritual connection, and we get caught up in the human experience, this dunya experience of, and that it brings to mind, that even this body is on loan, right? That it's not me. Yes, it has a name. Yes, it has, certain colored hair and certain colored skin and whatever, or what else, of all of these things that I can identify with, but strip that all away, and I'm just this, vulnerable spiritual
A beautiful
being.
soul. And that's everyone, a beautiful soul behind the coverings.
That's it.
Mm.
That's it. We are so much more than this bag of flesh, as gross as that might seem. Yeah. It's very nice to be sort of sitting in this space. We're just average people. We're just, I'm not anyone special, like, as in, I mean, I'm special, but I'm not, I'm not a scholar. I'm not I haven't memorized, Quran. I haven't, I'm nothing special in that sort of realm of understanding this, I guess, the spiritual aspect of Islam. But you don't need to be, because we're all born on the fitra. We all know it already. I mean, you look at in the eyes of a newborn child, and you know they get it, right? They're so connected, and even when they're young, and we start to mold them. If you take a step back and really look at this child, it's like, yeah, I don't need to teach them anything. In fact, I should be sitting down and letting them teach me.
And learning.
Yeah.
I said unlearning because we've learned so many things.
Oh, unlearning. Yes. Sorry. Yes.
Yeah.
Sorry.
But we learn as well with that.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah.
Unlearning.
Yeah. Because as we're unlearning, then we are relearning what we knew before. Yeah.
Exactly. We're remembering.
We're remembering. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and with the babies, and Daniela, when you mentioned the babies, I just remember, when you see a baby just lying back looking at their like little fingers, you know, and toes. And so to them at that time, it's just being in the present.
There is no separation.
Yeah.
There's no separate, there's no self, right? There's no sense of I'm a baby, you know, I'm a vulnerable baby and I need help. It's just, wow, look at this, you know, there's everything is connected, and this person picks me up, and there's no me and them, we're connected, and it's, you know, it's so beautiful.
Yeah.
So beautiful.
Yeah.
Just in awe of that.
Yeah.
I want to snuggle a newborn now.
Same.
But
yeah. And just as, you know, they are so open to everything, like babies are so open to everything. So as we're all learning, like thinking that we know it all, then we begin to see the world with wonder again. And so the unlearning, and then for every single moment is an opportunity to be amazed and awed at something.
Yeah.
Of course, sometimes we see it, and when we're seeing it, we're seeing the connection, we're seeing the, you know, the no separation thing. There just is.
Yep.
There's no judgment. There's one of the, you know, one of the things of some of the things I've come across was maybe to say, whenever someone is in addiction, they are seeking, you know, one of the, I can't remember the human needs they outlined there, but maybe sometimes is there's the need to have certainty, the need for control, I think. Okay, they were there in my mind just now, but they're falling off. I guess they don't matter, because what it is again is when we see that those things we were seeking were there all along.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so what brings the problem is that we are thinking that the discomfort comes from the circumstances or a person having power over us, and we're seeking that control and power, looking for certainty. But again, when we get certainty, we get bored and we want like the uncertainty. So there's always that. And when it comes from the inside out, from that place of balance, we're seeing about how it's already in there. There's some, like so many conversations now, it allows me to approach conversations with each client, like with just like that unlearning and learning from a child. And so they are going through the session. Someone shared with me, said, when, in fact, it wasn't in the context of addiction, but again, we know since addiction is from thought, it's from thought as well. It's not the substance itself, it's being addicted to that thinking. It's, you know, they said when they want to do something, they just feel themselves being drawn like a moth to a flame. And so that sense of out of control, powerlessness. And, you know, at that time, the moth maybe thinks a flame is the answer, or the flame is. And so when, you know, so there's the power in that noticing, like of that client, as they're noticing and they're sharing with me. So again, it comes around the feeling there's nothing to do. I'm observing someone on their journey, and it's my journey as well, because I'm going along the journey and learning. And there's nothing for me to do, but the person is seeing what they're doing, and from that waiting, then an insight they've had before, they have again, or it drops in. And so
if you allow the space to do so, and that's the thing, we have to fill it. We can't have this silence, you know. I have to fill it with something, or I can't, you know, I have to keep myself busy. I have to, because if I sit in that silence, I'm going to feel something.
Yeah.
And I don't want to feel bad, but 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 if we just sit in that discomfort, even for a second, it gives the opportunity to give rise to that next thought, which is so much more beautiful, so much better, so much more enjoyable.
Mm.
Yeah.
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 And like, it feels like the present is the future, as we're saying it now. Because when we're caught up in the past, the ghosts of the past are coming. What occurred to me, like speaking to someone, was when it just dropped down that this person is holding on to the past, because no matter how the past was something, they knew was unwise, it was a known past. And so it felt like, this person is so much, is fearing the future so much, but then it's going into the future, like the false
Living in
future,
two
I would
places
say.
at once.
Yeah, living in two places at once, and it's the false future, because the place to be is the present.
Well, it's a false past as well, like, because
I
don't know how many times that you guys have sort of looked at the past and from this place of wisdom and go, oh, actually, it didn't didn't play out that way. I honestly thought it played out differently.
Yeah. We get caught in the illusion of the thoughts, how we created it, but it's an illusion.
Pain, the suffering. Yeah.
Exactly.
Welcome, Halima.
So it's all fantasy, isn't it? Fantasy
it's all fantasy
from the past, and fantasy from the future.
Fantasy to the
So
and then we forget the present.
What's true right here in this moment.
And so even
that's the thing that I want.
Oh,
sorry, go on, Aisha. No, go on.
I was just saying, and even so I see the link to the addiction is when we're in the future, trusting the uncomfortable feeling and going through it. So we go to the beautiful thought. But when we run away from the present and think, no, the future is too scary, I have to have this to give me comfort. So we're going into that false future and not staying in the present to go to the beautiful real future.
And that's the other thing, like, the certainty is that there is no certainty. We're always living in the place of uncertainty. It just looks like there is some sort of certainty about how things are going to unfold or pan out or whatever, because we're caught in an illusionary thought or how it is in our head. But really, when we get out of that, every day is every moment is a new moment. And so that certainty is only with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, with that faith, that, which is what I was going to say before, the truth is really Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and the rest is kind of like our thoughts and how we perceive it to be, but the truth is known only to Allah. So we're really never ever living in a place of certainty, and we may think that we are, and we may even get caught up in that. I certainly do. We all do. We're human.
Absolutely.
But when we can let go and surrender to Allah and what is panned out for us from Him. Obviously, we've got dua as well, but that certainty comes to that it goes back to that connection to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala.
The truth. The ultimate truth.
Thomas, have you got any questions or anything that you'd like to share? Or Halima? And Bilkisu, please. Oh, good. If you do, just, raise your hand or whatever. Okay, so you've got great wisdom. We'd love if you're there to come on and share it as well, mashallah. But yeah,
Yeah.
if Thomas or Halima, you've got any questions or something you want to share, just put your hand up and we'll get to you, inshallah.
Yeah, I would love to hear that because the truth, we all have a piece of the truth. The whole picture is with Allah. So when we see, when we share the wisdom, so we see like all pieces like come together to give us, I would say, a bigger picture. And when you were saying about the past being illusionary, I heard someone say recently they were so sure that something had happened and it was, and they named 2 events like they were very clear in their minds. And so when they were speaking to the parents said, "What do you mean that didn't happen? This event actually happened, like this person was only present, so that was the person you're talking about wasn't present at that time. They came after."
Subhanallah.
So it was amazing to the person because they said they could have sworn that was what happened because that was so clear, like it's in their mind as a childhood memory, and then maybe through therapy they've been told, oh, this happening was what affected this happening in your life. So everything was just built on an illusion and believed. But now, like seeing it for what it is, and there's the freedom. Like the freedom comes because we know, just as our paintbrush painted that, we have the power to change thought.
Yeah, we can paint that, change that painting.
Alhamdulillah.
Yeah.
Alhamdulillah. That's beautiful. Jazakallah khair, Sister Aisha.
Jazakallah khair.
And I love that quote that you've given, the one from Sydney Banks. We're just the painter's brush. Oh, I'm going to get that so wrong.
The artist's brush or something,
Yeah, the artist's brush. And we can change that canvas or the painting, that ability to change that painting.
Well, that's it. I mean, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given us free will, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we have.
Walaikum assalam, Halima. Oh, sorry.
We do have some level of power to change that. I mean, of course, we've also got dua, which we can, sort of ask Allah to change our circumstances. But
oh yeah,
he's given us a beautiful opportunity and responsibility, in this free will to make our own decisions. And he's taken a big risk on that, but knowing full well, because he's created us, that we are going to come back and come home and remember him. Alhamdulillah.
Inshallah.
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 Halima, I wanted to say something.
Yes, alaikum. And what's her name? Not Daniela. Pamela already said it. As that's what I was thinking when you were saying about the paintbrush, and it's like now I can understand when Allah said you have the free will. It's like you have your like blank canvas. You put whatever it is, and that's where kind of your free will come in. So if you want to paint it dark and gloomy, you paint it. But if you want to paint it beautiful and lots of colors, it's kind of your choice. That's where kind of choice and free will come in. Before I was like, but if Allah written everything, how are we getting be punished? But now it's a bit more clear, and with lots of dua, we change a lot of things. Alhamdulillah.
Inshallah.
Yeah, no. And free will is like I couldn't understand, but being present with ourselves and seeing thing is make it being more conscious on a daily basis. You can see, oh yeah, this is what's going on. But alhamdulillah, alhamdulillah. Hope you all ladies having a very nice Eid. Yeah.
Alhamdulillah.
Eid Mubarak.
Eid Mubarak, yeah.
Alhamdulillah. That's beautiful, Sister Halima. Yeah.
Sometimes it's just silence, isn't it? So much can be said without saying anything. It's just nice being in this
Exactly.
space.
It's being in the nice feelings.
Yeah. Halima, do you have something more to say? You've got your hand up again? Or is
Yes.
that?
Yeah,
Yep.
no, yeah. I
Go ahead.
just have a question. Like,
Mm.
if someone has like, what do we call it? Like suicidal thinking and just kind of be with it and don't want to change it, and like, I don't know, like obsessive thinking, like they're still in the past. They think their life is done because their past was so gloomy. And they think like they don't have any future. They are so bad, and how can you like help them basically? And it's more like they feel their life is worthless, and they haven't done anything good and all of that. And I try said like, you haven't done anything more than killing 100 people, and you, like Allah managed to forgive someone who killed 100 person, and I don't think your life is worth than that. And then she still keep on complaining and complaining. And I also said, sometimes just sit down 5 minutes and close your eyes and think about Ayub alayhi salam life. Is your life more miserable than him? And then it will go and then come back again. Oh, I just want to kill myself. And I was like, hello, excuse me. But I just feel like sometimes I'm still making that dua for Allah to make me have a more kind of sweet talk, and because I'm a bit too rough, I think sometimes, even with my kids. But it's not nice to see someone in that state. You want to help, but you still don't know what to say. I do it with my heart most of the time. I just kind of be here and everything. But it's very kind of sad, and at the same time find it not hopeless. Alhamdulillah, I'm not, but it's more like seeing it in that state. And I just make a lot of dua, and if you also make a lot of dua, Allah make it easy for her. She's very, very, very nice person, but she's been, and I was thinking about addiction, and I was like, how do I help her? But I'll just make dua. But like now I just kind of, probably you guys not tell me what to do, but just an idea what can click in
I
her
think you're
brain.
doing it already, Halima. The fact that you're connecting with her, the fact that you're, making dua for her, you're doing it already.
Yeah, and I just make dua she can see it, because she's a very intellectual person. I keep telling her, get off your head and get into your heart. But
I
I said
think
my
just you
language is not
planting,
very sweet.
I think you just planting those seeds is enough. Like you can't get somebody to change, even if
Yeah.
you want to. Like that's for every one of us, but we can always point someone to their wisdom. We can point them to the door, but we
Because
can't make them
I
walk
even
through
give
it.
her that picture of that canvas, and I said, this is I even bought a black canvas, give it to her, and I said, this is your future. This is where free will come, because I didn't know. And then I said, whatever was in the past is gone, because you're not responsible for your past. Allah choose it to be like that, and this is the qadar of Allah. And this is your free will, because she always explained to me, because when I was not understanding, she was always explaining to me how free will work, how this work. And I said, this is not what you're going to paint. So you choose what you paint. But then I think, because and everything I said to her, she goes, I know, I know, I know. And I said, can you stop saying I know to me and tell me? And learn that I know, and said, okay, I'm gonna try. But alhamdulillah, but I think I just keep making dua for her, I make her see it, and I keep checking on her, because she can't stay at home at all alone. She feel overwhelmed and everything. But just keep her in your dua, girls. Inshallah, Allah make it easy for her.
Inshallah. I think as well, like you checking in, that's beautiful. keep doing what you're already doing, Halima, and
Mm.
know that, you know, have that confidence within you to do that as well, you know, just to know that you're doing the right thing. Yeah.
Yeah, that connection is really helpful because I used to be in that state myself, and I know
Me
that
too.
I didn't. Oh, okay. Yeah. And seeing it back now, I see that what was really helpful was having a loving presence around. Nobody knew what to do, maybe intellectually, or nobody even knew what was happening. But the fact that that love was there, was being given, you know, I see now that like that's the space that's helpful, sort of the right fertilizer, I would say, for a plant to bloom.
Yeah.
You know, yeah,
That's a beautiful
Daniela, you were saying something
analogy.
about, something about dua. And so like what occurred to me is that the dua, like every single day we say the Fatiha, guide us onto the straight path. You alone do we ask for help. So it becomes so automatic, like autopilot. So you know that discomfort sometimes is like a kick to make us really present. I was listening to you know, to is it a tafsir of the Fatiha, and said, so sometimes you find that you have really put in a lot of effort, you've relied on your intellect, you've done everything you want. So it brings you to that point. You know, when things seem so difficult, it brings you to that point where naturally you open up and you're really asking that help from Allah, from your heart. Because every day we can say it's sort of become, you alone do we seek for help and do we rely on? Forgotten the transfer moment. We're not fully, yeah, it's good, like it's that's clear in saying it alone, but it just feels the connection is not as much there as when we realize that the intellect, yes, I know, like I know all that, but it begins to sink in. And other people have seen it happen where you just get to that limit of your intellect, and that is the doorway in which you see that there's a limitless potential, and you tap into it. So definitely the connection, the love is the best of what we share, and you know, lets the person, I guess, is the door opener as well, right? The love, the support, like we share so effortlessly there, the door opener, and then the door opens, and when the person is at the right level, I would say, to walk into they sail through or they flow through it.
Yeah.
Yes, Sister
It's-
Aisha, that's exactly what it is, because she's very, very intellectual. Alhamdulillah, alhamdulillah. Like every question I have, I would always go to her and explain this to me. How does this work and things like that. And then listening to you, I feel like that, because as I said, everything I ask her, also I know. And
yeah, it's our mantra. It's our mantra when we're knocking
yeah,
on the door of truth. It's I know.
yeah,
I know.
I know.
It's
And I said it's
particularly
true.
the
Like I said, but
intellect.
sometimes I feel like I don't have that sweetness of talk. And sometimes I said, can you just put your I know away and say I'm learning or I'm unlearning, and just get into your heart. And when I say get into heart, it's because my heart is saying kill myself, I'm not worth it. And I say, okay, then listen to your heart. But then she would like, don't talk to me like, you know, like you, and you actually explaining when you got to that peak of your intellectual and everything, it's a bit more like that. And I said to her, you know what, just be quiet and make your zikr in your heart, because I know it's no point me talking at this point. And I just said make dua,
You
and
know,
then we would be quiet.
You know what? I think as well, like we get stuck into the doing
Yeah,
or the trying. And we all know this isn't about the doing or the trying.
and just be
Even if
quiet.
we tell someone, well, even that, you know, just be quiet. it's not going to work because your mind is maybe going at 60 miles an hour about, I can't be quiet and blah, 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 all that other chatter that goes on in our head. So it's really about
Being here.
just letting it flow and being okay with the not okayness of whatever feelings that are coming up. Because when that passes, that's for all of us, when that passes is when the new opportunity arises at the end. You know, that
Just
we
being
might
here,
hit rock bottom, but if we are telling someone to do something, that's very outside in, and that's not what it's about. It's about just being.
like for me,
Being in
Daniela,
our,
we understand this, but then for someone, like sometimes I said, I just tell her, like she called me, I'm not feeling well, and I said, get ready, we go for a walk. That's all. And when we can walk for an hour, we don't talk. I know I'm just here with her, and then if she feel like talking, she'll talk. But like, and then she just come away, and then just get me to that. Like I said, but then I make a lot of dua for her and just kind of be with her. But like sometimes I feel like what Aisha was explaining is exactly how she kind of be. And I just kind of observe and I understand, but I just kind of make dua. I can help her in a different way, or because I make dua for her because I find like if I say something, it's like what you said, Daniela, I will be telling her or doing or being, and I don't want to overwhelm her with so many things. And I said the few things I said is at the canvas, Ayub alayhi salam, like a few things. Like sometimes when she said, oh, this is happening, how bad her life is, and I said, okay, I acknowledge, you hadn't had a very good pause, but we can still change it. Just, like just this one.
well,
Or
that's
sometimes
bringing her future. Yeah.
I
I mean,
just
this
ask
is
her
getting
about,
into like coaching, and Halima, you have the opportunity in other places. So it's not about that.
sorry, no,
But
but
no,
it's
that's
more about
okay,
the
because this is
addiction
about,
thing that she is addicted, like,
yeah.
I'm not worth it. Every day, that's like a mantra in her head. And that's why I want to, like I said to her, make dua, but it's more like, I don't know. But when I'm here to Aisha, I feel she was explaining the exact thing that she was going through. I can see it. Alhamdulillah. But inshallah, she would be fine. But I just kind of, it's good to just hear from you. Like, everyone can go through that path, and there's always a hope that she would get there too, inshallah.
Inshallah.
I think you've got the opportunity tomorrow morning or morning for us in Australia if you want to jump on with Catherine with a coaching call.
Yeah, inshallah I would, yeah.
But that's open to you because you're one of our professionals. Yeah. Well, certification people. I want to share something that Thomas has shared in the chat. He said, in reality, we don't know, and acknowledging that we don't know is humility. I mean, yes, that's like a smack between my eyes, like, because I'm now sitting on the other side of it. But that's the thing. I could not admit that I didn't know. I could not admit that I didn't have an answer. I could not admit that that I wasn't able to figure it out. And so, yeah, I can totally relate with the I know, and I still get caught up in that sometimes, and it's the beauty of having friends around me with this understanding that go, you're doing your I know thing again. It's like, oh yeah, I'm kind of caught up in it again, aren't I? Yeah. But catching yourself, Halima, I think as to what your intentions are when you're actually dealing with this person. Because this does seem, or sounds like, and I could be wrong, but it sounds like there's a sense of urgency to help her. And I know that's an uncomfortable feeling, particularly we don't want anyone else around us to be suffering, but we kind of need to let go of our what's the word? I guess it's an agenda, I suppose, lack of better word, that we can, yeah, I'll leave it there. So just, yeah, continuing to make dua for her and making, when you're making dua to Allah, asking him to use you, use you in any capacity if you are supposed to help her. Yeah. Letting go of the outcome.
Yeah. And when you were speaking there, what came to me was even the well-being, like, of the helper, the well-being. Sometimes anyway, a story I have is when my son had a surgery, and so I kept on feeling, he's going to be in pain, post-surgery, he's going to be in pain. How is he going to be able to hear? How am I going to help him? And so at some point, what occurred to me was to ask him, would you like to listen, to the Quran? That's one I like to listen to myself. One surah I like to one recitation, and it really brings peace. So I asked him, he said, okay. And as he was listening to it later, what occurred to me was that he wasn't looking to me to take away his pain. He was never looking to me. That was my perception as a mother. Like, I want to take his pain away, but I can't. And he wasn't even asking me, but because I had that feeling, it felt like that was what he was asking me. And as I noticed things later, I saw that all that I think we ask is love and support and understanding. And I can't give the support if I don't have the self-compassion. And so when I begin to feel that maybe what I say, sometimes powerless for me to help, so it also helps to be present with myself, like, and be in a state of calm, because it feels as if I'm being affected by what the other person is feeling, but I'm only being affected as it comes through my thought. And so just like when I'm alone and notice my thoughts, let them settle, it helps with the others. And it comes back to Pamela, what you were saying, then there is the knowing that I am a vessel. I'm not the helper. The help is coming through me. The help of Allah is coming through me. And it comes, I'm receptive to it when I'm in wisdom myself. Because in that state of, what I say, anyway, it's part of the big feelings. So it's a reminder to us as well. So any, the uncomfortable feelings are a love letter from Allah. It says, I am taking care of things.
Yeah. And we're not going to save everybody. Plain and
Yeah.
simple. It's not written for us to save everybody. We just do what we can.
Everyone is on a unique journey. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
We don't even have that power to save everybody. That
Yeah.
comes from Allah.
That's an illusion within itself, thinking that we do. Yeah.
SubhanAllah.
SubhanAllah. Wow, what a
I
deep.
was watching a video of Michael Niels sharing about, it was just a bit of a clip, I think it was from a TED talk. He was talking about divorce thinking. He talked about it in the countryside, feel like, letting it all go. And so now, so I guess it was when he had the insight, I can't quite remember the details, when he had the insight about, it was just, in that moment, it was a thought in the moment. And when you hold on to it, then you go deeper into it. So if you allow the thought to go, it goes, like, thoughts like that will go on. But the funny thing is that as he was sharing to his wife, she said, oh, exactly what you mean. Because sometimes I have thoughts of getting out of this relationship, of leaving you. So, it was so funny. His own thinking was about living life, but it was a thought in the moment. And, see her relating that with wanting to leave him, I don't know, for me, the connection, like, was hilarious.
Yeah. Congratulations, you're a human being, Yeah, you're going to have we all have those thinking. Yeah. That's funny.
Yeah. Welcome, Jenny. Okay, glad to have you here.
Assalamualaikum.
Walaikum
Thanks.
salam. Mm.
Wow.
Yeah.
What's the feeling? Has
just
it sort of come to an end? 'Cause
yeah,
it's
I
like-
was just
I think it's sort of come full circle
Yeah.
now, and it's a beautiful place to
Thanks.
perhaps end it. Yeah.
yeah. That sounds like a good idea.
Yeah.
Yeah. Beautiful.
Wow. I thank you all for being here.
Yeah.
I know I've really
Jazakallah.
needed this. I really needed this, 50 minutes or whatever, just sitting in this space. Missed it. Yeah.
Yeah.
And this is it, that's all it is, just sitting in truth for a short period of time can really have a nice ripple effect.
Mm.
That reminder that this is the reality, not what I was thinking 2 minutes ago or whatever. This right here right now is the reality. This is truth.
Yeah.
Mm.
Being in the
Alhamdulillah.
good feelings.
Mm.
Alhamdulillah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Jazakallah khair, beautiful.
So,
Mm.
Jazakumullah khair. Thank you everyone for being here. Your presence really adds to it, like to the feeling. So to our viewers, I'd like to see if you or anyone you know is caught up in addiction, reach out to back to the Fitra Addiction Department, and we're always here, always ready to support you in your journey.
Yeah, perhaps we'll put a link in the comments
Yeah.
of how to
Yeah.
how to sign up and reach out to Daniela. She's the one that you'll be chatting to reach out. Yeah.
Inshallah.
Or
Took
alternatively,
away
if it's not around addiction, but it's just around maybe just life in general, then there's always an opportunity to come into our inner circle as well, taking advantage of that. So we have many different programs. I mean, we're changing it up a little bit for July, which is going to be good, and we're sort of intensifying a few of the sessions. So there's relationships and parenting, and also general Q&A sessions as well. So it's going to be, I'm really looking forward to seeing what July pans out. Actually, it's going to be awesome.
I'm really looking forward to that as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Inshallah. Mm.
Inshallah.
I don't want to
Okey-dokey, well,
leave.
Jazakallah khair.
Yeah. Back to life.
Yeah.
Alhamdulillah, but back to life, but taking this beautiful feeling with me, which is wonderful.
Absolutely. Yeah. Beautiful.
Jazakallah khair. Yeah.
Wayaki. Jazakallah khair to everyone here as well. Assalamu alaikum.
Thank you for
Welcome,
being here,
Islam.
all of you. Jazakallah for
You're
everything.
welcome.
It does help.
You're welcome. Alhamdulillah. Cool. Well, I'm going to stop everything.